There we go. All right. We're doing it the good old-fashioned way, lads. Can't see stream chat. Actually, it's probably a good thing because it just tilts me when people talk in it and flame this. So, all right. Here we go. First talk show of the season. Woo! Didn't know if it would actually happen for a second here. The hype is slightly died down, but let's ramp it back up. Yeehaw. All right. Let's get it away. So, if you've seen talk show in the past, before this hypey rework, how it usually went down was every week there would be you go through the match predictions and you go through last week's matches and you talk about every single one. Like every single one. First of all, there's so many fucking teams now. That sounds awful. Second of all, I'm not trying to waste your time. You don't care. Every show's gonna be goal an hour max. So that seems like a big waste of time. Then what you do is you'd rank the top 5 players in every slot. There are too many new players for me to do that yet, so I'm not doing it yet. And the last one was you predicted all the matchups for next week. And again, that is a lot of teams. So what we're going to do instead is we have also it got kind of repetitive, right? It's the same thing every time. And I like to keep things fresh. So what we're going to do every talk show is have different stuff. We're going to have different stuff and different content. So this week, I'm going to be ranking the teams not based on how I think they'll be good at the end of the season, but right now, based off of pure results, I will be ranking all the teams sorted by conference. Then I'm going to have, I want to call them players of the week, but I don't do this weekly. So it's players of the show. So sort of like how in like the NBA, they have players of the week, one from each Western and Eastern Conference that performed really well. I wanted to quickly shout out 2 players that I thought did really, really well and talk why I thought they did really well. Then we're going to have hashtag isn't meta, where we're going to hardcore look at a spicy off meta pick by someone in P Cup. And then we're going to talk about match of the week, and that'll be it. One match this next week that I think is, if you only had time to watch one game this week, I would definitely sit down and tune into this one because it'll be a good one. Anyway, without further ado, fuck. It's already scuffed. Don't look at this. Okay. Jesus. Power rankings. PogChamp for Mercury League, aka Mercury League. We'll leave it at Mercury League. Okay, so there is one team so far that I thought has looked more cohesive than all the other teams, and that is Divith. Divith's schedule has actually been not very impressive. So Divith beat Vortex week 1, but Vortex wasn't using Sendilion, who's, I'm going to argue, their number 1 most important player, bar none. Like, the team just looks night and day without him. And then Divith beat Recon 5 Red, who has been looking really yikes. Like, they don't have a roster. I don't know what's going on, but they do not have the roster they played in play-ins. And I've seen iGlory on fucking Elise Jungle and Steve the Wind Trader on ADC. So something's going wrong. They had like triple subs. Yeah. So even though Divith has only beat weaker teams, they just look really clean doing it. Like, they smash those teams, right? It's not even close. And I won't use how badly a team wins as the deciding factor for putting them above another team. But just based off execution, Divith looks really, really good. But I will say that Divith I almost just grouped with the rest of the A tier teams simply because they haven't faced a team that has been all put together. Like both teams they've beaten, while I won't diminish their 2-0, have not had their full rosters, and I won't downplay how important those full rosters are to those teams. Moving on. Next, we're going to have A-tier teams. These are teams that are on the brink of being at the top, but there are problems with each, or it's just too early to tell which ones are going to rise up. So teams that are in the tiers are very, very close to one another. Or I think that they're all within a similar level and they're grouped together. Teams that have put on the very left, I think have a slight edge over teams that come after them. Very slight, and those could change. If I did this another day, maybe I'd feel differently. So next I have BBC, Vortex, and First Blood Knights in that order. So BBC is also a new team. Shout out to the two teams I ranked as the top of Mercury League after 2 weeks being new. So shout out to you guys. And oh god, I wish I could look at my notes. God, BBC. Who did they beat, guys? Let's think. Okay, I know this. Wait, BBC beat First Blood Knights week 1. That was an upset. I did not think that would happen. I slept on him, and that's a legit win. I think First Blood Knights are underperforming, and part of that is because they're trying to figure out what their roster is. A lot of teams, there's this sort of transition, and it happened last season, where once the season really kicks off, teams that entered through plans realize that playing in the normal season is an adjustment, and rosters fluctuate from that. So we've seen that happen in First Blood Knights, but again, that's no excuse, right? A lot of teams have that, and I don't think their roster, like their star player was still there, right? All the pieces were there to win, they just didn't win. So BBC beat First Blood Knights, which was a definite win that they wanted because First Blood Knights will make playoffs. And they also beat Whale Hunters, which is Whale Hunters is a kind of middle of the pack team, it feels like so far in this league. So that is also a nice win. And you think with those two wins that I would also put them in S tier, but I need to see more from BBC before I can do that. I'm going to be honest also, I don't feel comfortable putting them on Divith because I wasn't able to watch their series against First Blood Knights. There's too many games. There's too many games, okay? But I know they won, which I'm giving them the nod for. But when I said I was toying with the idea of Divith being next to A, it's because BBC and Divith had very similar performances, except for BBC's schedule was harder, but I liked what I saw with Divith when I watched both of their series. I only watched BBC versus Whale Hunters, and I'm pretty sure Whale Hunters got smacked, if I remember correctly. So, anyway, the last team I haven't mentioned is Vortex out of these three, and Vortex lost to Divith, like I said. They got destroyed. Not even close. It was two 23-minute stomps, and then afterwards, Vortex did the same thing to Dawnbreak, and so that's honestly not a very impressive lineup, right? They beat one of the weakest teams, in my opinion, Mercury League, and then got destroyed. But I did rank the team that beat them as the best. And once they got their full starting roster, they cleaned house. Even though it was against a weaker tier team, honestly, I'm always Vortex biased. Like, if you watch Talk Show last season at the start when it was still the old Talk Show, I definitely ranked them like second, and they just get slept on every time. I feel like the first half of seasons, the past 2 seasons, they kind of struggle with figuring out what they're going to do. And then by the end, they make it into playoffs every time. And then they win at least one series in playoffs every time. So I'm slightly Vortex biased. I think just based off the record, they should be, they should be slightly lower than what I have them now. But the play I saw when Sandillion was back in the lineup was too good to ignore. However, that's a big question mark. Vortex is the biggest question mark of these three. And honestly, like I say, in A tier or in any tier, the teams in that tier are close. They are close. When they're at their full starting roster, which all these teams have played with at least once now, these teams look close. And Divith is just a hair above them. A hair above them. But I feel like they're distinguished enough that I put them above A. So let's go on to B tier. B tier, I have Whale Hunters and Dankest Memers. Whale Hunters is literally the Buceters last season, and Buceters were terrible last season. But the good news is Whale Hunters has already won as many series as Bucators did all last season. And last season they had 9 games. This season they have 7. So they're already doing their win rate's already better. So I already said that. Oh God, who did they lose to, guys? Help me out. I can't look at Twitch chat even. God, who did they lose to? They lost to ah First Blood Knights. No, they didn't. I'm lying. This is all off memory, by the way. So Whale Hunters. Yikes. No, they beat Dawn Guard and they lost to BBC. That was it. So Whale Hunters smacked Dawn Guard and Nova name changing to Dawn Guard. Lol, lol, lol was so funny. I actually snorted when I saw it the first time. I actually, it wasn't like you type lol and you're not laughing, you're kind of smiling. I went like, like that. I was a big fan of that. So they beat another weak team and then they lost to First Blood Knights. I think the gap between A and B is much larger than S and A. So B tier teams are much weaker than the teams aforementioned. Like there is a clear cut between the top 4 and the bottom 4 from what we've seen so far. Clear cut. Other than that, Dankus Memers, they, process of elimination, had to have beat Recon 5 when Recon 5 had a triple autofill sub, and then they lost also to First Blood Knights. Wait, that's not possible. Yes, it is, because they lost to First Blood Knights, and Whale Hunters lost to BBC. Okay, yes. So Dangus Memers lost to First Blood Knights, which I think is a fine loss. Like, they beat the team that's worse than them, and they lost to a team that's better than them, which is pretty much the B tier teams. You expect B tier teams to beat C tier teams and lose to anything higher than that. A and S, they could trade games potentially, right? I mean, Divith smacked Vortex, but whatever. So I think those teams are B tier. I don't I don't have this off the top of my head. I don't know who they play next, which I will have for next time, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But Dankus Memers just don't look like they have a star player. Every one of the teams in A or S has a star player that really defines the team. Divot has Daveman, they're mid. BBC, I really like BBC's mid, honestly. We'll get to him later. Vortex has Sandillion, and also Dismantle. I can't discount the impact Dismantle has. That was hard to say. And First Blood Knights has Josh, aka their mid laner. Even Whale Hunters has Nova. Even though they're a B tier team, Nova Typhoon always does really well in Peak Up. He is 1v9 on that team. But Dankus Memers, I haven't found that yet. And I think to be successful in Peak Up, you just have to have one member of your team minimum that will dominate another member of the enemy team. And it's whichever one of those star players will carry more, or if the supporting members of the team outplay the shit out of the other supporting members. And I don't just mean whoever's on support, I mean who is not the primary win condition. And Dankus Memers feel like they don't have a primary win condition yet. So if they figure that out, or a player just rises to the top, you can see them start to take games off of the top 4. But until then, I expect them only to be winning against the bottom 4 based off the first 2 weeks. Last, we have C tier, which is Recon 5 and then Dawnbreak Gaming. So these teams are both yikes, but they're yikes for different reasons. So Recon 5 is not a team that I expected. If you asked me 2 weeks ago, I had to make power rankings, they would be 7. But the reason why they are a yikes team is because they have the most disgusting roster issues known to man. I have no idea why 3 out of their 5 starters have never shown up to a game, but I don't care. I can't stop that, right? So they're 0-2. They actually kept it close against Dankus Memers with their ADC in the jungle position, their support in the ADC position, a sub mid, and a sub support. They took it to game 3. Like, wow, okay. Props to them. And then they lost. Who did they lose to? I already said. I don't know. They lost to Divith. That was it. Divith's really easy schedule. They lost to Divith. So this team is just broken. I don't know how it's going to fix it. Honestly, if I was a free agent right now, DM iGlory. Hey, can I play on your team? Karaoke. Hey, Karaoke, if you're listening, be the top laner for Recon 5. Who else is a free agent off the top of my head? Let me think. Who do they need? They need a mid laner. Who else? I think a jungler too. So yeah, if you're like Diamond or Plat, message iGlory. You're welcome, iGlory. And then last but not least, it's Dawnbreak. So this is also a Yikes team, but it's not Yikes from roster issues. It's Yikes for the roster itself. This team just does not look confident. They look outclassed when they play. They've lost to Vortex. They got demolished by Vortex. And they also got demolished by Whale Hunters. So if Recon 5 ever gets a starting roster, I'm pretty sure they go up to B tier, but I can in good conscience have Dawnbreak. I with what they have now, something has to change. I think they need stronger players. Or when you're a weaker team, you need a really good game plan to execute, but who wants to do that for peak up, right? So I got Dawnbreak Gaming at 8th. Cool. Now it's time for the Cool League. Nitrogen! Woo! Get hype! Woo! Um, so again, I selected similar to Mercury League. I put one team in the S tier position, but the difference between this team and Divith is that I felt like this team clearly has established themselves as the best team after 2 weeks, performance-wise, and that is the Life of Polio. Polio has looked stronger than everyone else so far. They beat P-Hub in a 2-1, and they destroyed XD Gaming. And those are two teams that I think are solid teams. I think both of those teams are minimum A/S. Well, maybe not both. At least one of them is. Well, both of them are minimum A, potentially S in Mercury League, right? And Life of Polio beat them both. I wouldn't say easily for P-Hub, but they definitely showed up to play, and P-Hub got outclassed. You can say, oh, we threw game X, or, you always throw around those things, but at the end of the day, everyone's going to throw some games. It's just about which team was more consistent that series. And the roster of Life of Polio is filthy. We have, I'm pretty sure, 2 players right now that are D1 or Masters from where they started, mid and jungle. And then Mango's been doing really well role swap ADC from top, which is surprising because top laners are usually dog shit. Of course, I never thought Mango was bad, but just I like that he bucks the trend, right? He is the only top laner in this league that if he was playing top, I would not insta-lock him Scion. And that is the highest compliment I can give any player in League of Legends if they're a top laner. So Life of Polio's looked really good. Next, we have some A-tier teams. IRL Sluts Reloaded, P-Hub, and XD Gaming are the teams I put in A-tier. So, IRL Reloaded destroyed Dolphin Slash. It wasn't even close. And then they had a nail biter set versus Illyrian Gaming, which I watched, and it was a really fun series. It went to game 3, like 40 minutes. It was a fucking banger of a series. It's a bummer it wasn't streamed on Prophecy Cup. But whoever watched it on Collinator's stream, that was a really fun series to watch. Really, I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was fun games. And I don't usually say that. Usually I watch the games to kind of like get an idea of who I can shit talk and then also to plan out show. But that was just fun to watch. So they've beaten 2 respectable teams, I'd say. And when I say respectable, I think that all the teams in this league are very close. Even though Life of Polio's performance is dominating and they're going to be a top team, I am positive every single team in this league could make playoffs. I don't think there's a single team that stands out as one that could not, like definitively, which is exciting. Group of Death, woo! Second team I have is P-Hub. P-Hub's done a lot better than I thought they would. Honestly, I thought Wurpak and Gas mid-jungle again would just blow and go to shit. Huge mental boom. But obviously it's not because they're playing really well. So they lost to Polio, which is no shame. They took it to game 3 against Polio, and honestly, they could have won that series.
I watched that series. They could have won it. It wasn't like it went to game 3 and then they got blown out, right? It wasn't like they took a lucky game off of them. No, they were competitively in that game. And then IRL had a nope. I already talked about IRL. Sorry, P-Hub. Then P-Hub beat Baby Shark in another game 3 scenario. And Baby Shark is an interesting team because they started 0-2 last season, just like this season, and then won every other game they played. So I think they're just slow starters. And Baby Shark, even though they're 0-2, they've looked good. They've looked good. I think part of the reason why is because now that they've done so many adjustments from last season, they're trying to figure out communication. And I think that's a really big motive for teams that are returning. But we'll continue on that because we're talking about P Hub right now. We're not talking about Baby Shark. So P Hub's looked good. Gasp did not play last season, but Gasp was the top jungler of season 5, other than Knight of Zed, right? Gasp and Knight of Zed were the kings of the jungle. And Knight of Zed ended up being crowned best jungler, but that's also after Gasp lost his team. So it would have been interesting to see how season 5 played out if Gasp and Ornhub, right? That was the team they were originally on. Gasp, Warpack, and Mango, Yangsu, and Astris. Yeah. It would have been interesting to see if they hadn't mental boomed. So P-Hubs looked way stronger than I would have thought, which I'm really pleased about. And I think the reason why they look way stronger than I thought is their top laner. Diamar is a fucking beast. That guy is really good. Whoops. And I've really watched him every game they play, and he pops off. That guy carries hard through top. P-Hub's top side of the map is their win condition, right? Mid, jungle, top, hard carry. Their bot lane, they're along for the ride, right? Kicking and screaming. So last I have XD Gaming. XD smacked Illyrian and then got smacked by Polio. So XD Gaming was a big question mark for me because I don't know any of these fuckers, right? Everyone else in this conference, for the most part, I know that I've already mentioned, but XD Gaming's, I have no idea. But I watched their series a little bit versus Polio, and it was a bloodbath. But I think this roster has strong points. I like their mid jungle a lot. And also, it's one of the few teams that I think their bot lane isn't a liability. I think a lot of bot lanes are a liability to teams. Like, they're the weak side. Like, the solo lanes or the jungle is really strong, right? Like, with the exception also of IRL, because they have Secretic, who is probably the best player in the whole league of Prophecy Cup, arguably. I would say Secretic. Yeah, I would say Secretic's the best player in Prophecy Cup, and he's on ADC. So there's a slight difference there, right? But XC Gaming is another one of those teams where, even though it's not to the degree that they have a literal at one point challenger ADC or Grandmaster or whatever he hit in preseason, that doesn't mean their bot lane isn't a legitimate threat. So I really like what I've seen from XD Gaming, even though I only watched them get smacked by Polio. I watched a little bit of their VOD versus Illyrian, and wow, that was a slaughter. Anyway, we're going to go to B tier. I actually don't have a C tier. And again, it's because I feel like these teams are all so close. So in B tier, I have Dolphin Slash, Sad Boys, Baby Shark, and Illyrian Gaming. And some of you are like, Vaughn, what the fuck? You didn't put Sad Boys in S tier. And yes, that's true. I know. It hurts. But that's okay. We'll get to my team. First, we're going to talk about Dolphin Slash, the team with my favorite logo. I was so happy they made it through plans. No meme. So Dolphin Smash got destroyed by IRL. Like, dear God. I'm so sorry. That was brutal. And then they upset Sad Boys last week. And so now they're sitting at 1-1. And I wrote off Dolphin Slash as not even being a contender. Like, I'm pretty sure I penciled them as 8th out of 8 when I did my own power rankings for each league before the season started. I had them at 8. I'm here to formally apologize, Dolphin Slash. I should not have had you at 8th. I don't know where the fuck you're supposed to be because this whole league is a cluster, and it honestly feels like anyone could lose to anyone. At this stage of the game, there's no team that's clearly going to dominate. Life of Polio's looked really good, to be fair, and Polio is 2-0 against two teams I ranked as A tier, which speaks a lot to Polio. But that doesn't mean they're untouchable. they're not the sad boys of last season, and they're not the GBC of 2 seasons ago. I would say Vortex too. Vortex was like 9-1, right? Yeah, season 5 Vortex was pretty good too. But GBC was on another level. For people who don't know, Goth Boy Click was probably one of the strongest teams Prophecy Cup has ever seen. And they were season 5. I think they only lost like 4 games in the regular season. They went like 17-4, and they ended up losing in finals in a like close series. But that team was insanely good. So I don't think Life of Polio's at that level because I think the competition has risen. Because in season 5, GBC had a lot weaker time, but it feels like Nitrogen League is really competitive, and I'm really excited about that. There doesn't feel like there's a team that just sucks, right? That you just, oh, it's a free win, who cares? This is kind of boring. No, I feel like every team has a competitive way to win, which I am thrilled about. So then we have Sad Boys, who lost to Dolphins slash week 2 and then beat Baby Shark week 1. So this is my team. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my team. And I mentioned before that I think Baby Shark is suffering from roster swaps to arguably weaker players overall that lead to communication and execution issues. And I think that is happening for both Baby Shark and Sad Boys, the two returning teams. So Sad Boys roster is also in fluctuation right now. We don't have a mid laner anymore. We do not have a starting mid laner. And I will be returning to games. I missed my first series ever as a Sad Boy last week, which was sad, but it was unavoidable, unfortunately. And I think that losing Sad Boys, their losing of Lost in Rotation and also their inability to start either of their former ADCs they use, Devastation and Pinto, because of points, I think that really, really puts a cap on the team that we haven't figured out how to pop that cap off yet and drink from the bottle. That was a weird analogy. I was thinking like soda, like a soda cap. Okay, fuck it. Anyway, the point is, Sad Boys will be a team that does well. But at the beginning, I said I would rate teams based solely off of their week 2 and week 1 performances, and Sad Boys has looked shaky, uncharacteristically average, right? I don't think they look. If Sad Boys right now, the roster was cloned and put up against the Sad Boys roster of last season, I'm pretty sure this season's Sad Boys would get 2-0'd by last season's roster. At this point, there's no doubt in my mind. So we'll have to see if Sad Boys can figure out what the hell they're doing. I'll have to see if I can figure out what the hell we're doing right now. We're sitting at 1-1. And also, before anyone says anything, don't write off Dolphin Slash's win against us because we used so many subs for 2 reasons. Last season we used a sub, I think, every week, no joke, except for maybe one. And the second is you had our roster was strong with subs. When you have Chandler, the season 6 MVP, and DTS Mid, who's probably one of the best players to ever play in Prophecy Cup, on the same team, with those two players with their synergy, that is a legitimate win. That is a strong roster. With just those two players, that is a strong roster. So Dolphin Slash definitely deserves credit. Like 100%. Good shit, guys. Like that team would beat other teams easily. So don't undervalue their win over us, because I think that's a really important thing to do. Because it's very easy to brush off wins like I have before. Oh, we had X subs, right? But then I always tell everyone that everyone has to sub, and that's part of this. So it's kind of interesting how we only use that as an excuse when we lose, but when other people use it as an excuse, we kind of just like, dude, nobody cares, right? So anyway, I wanted to say that. Also, rest in peace, Chandler, baby. I'm pretty sure Chandler had the longest peak up winning streak of all time of any player. Fact check me. But since Chandler joined in season 5, he had not lost a single series ever until last weekend's Dolphin Slash. And I think if I counted correctly, that's 12 straight series, including all playoffs. Or 11. Regular season and playoffs, he won 11 or 12 straight best of threes and then two best of fives. No, four best. No, shit, math. Yes, two best of fives. So rest in peace, Chandler's great winning streak. It's time to build it back up again, baby. You and me. Let's do it. So F's in the chat, please respect that. Anyway, Baby Shark. I've already talked about Baby Shark. I feel like they had the same problems as us. I think Astros has had a renaissance. That guy was not looking hot last season. On a lot of it bounced between a lot of teams. Astros has looked like a good ADC. And I know we meme about that, like, yikes. Like, you're doing like shit when Astros is looking like a good ADC. And maybe both teams that played against Baby Shark looked like shit. But also maybe not. I don't know. Astros has been looking really good. Also, Hamlet's continuing to play well from last season, which I'm very happy about. Other than that, communication, I think, is the main issue with Baby Shark right now because there's been so many adjustments to their lineup. Last, we have Illyrian. So they lost. They're 0-2, right? And I have them last. But I honestly almost put them at the start of B tier. I almost had Baby Shark last in Illyrian Gaming before Dolphin Slash and Sad Boys because their losses were against XD Gaming and IRL, and they were both close. They were both close, if I remember correctly. XD? No, just kidding. XD smacked Illyrian. Nope. But anyway, I think they're sick because they're set against IRL sluts. I totally underrated Illyrian. I'm pretty sure I ranked them 7th or 8th going in. And I know I put them 8th here, but by God did they look way better than I thought. Like, good shit, Illyrian. Please don't give up. Please. You guys are smurfing. Also, I'm pretty sure, wait, we play you guys. Illyrian Captain. Please finish our scheduling. It's Friday at 8 EST. Thank you. Also, all of them are from Iowa. Woo! Let's go, Iowa. We're done. Oh shit, was that next? Yeah, anyway, so we're going on to players of the show. I wanted to point out one player from each league that I thought was critical for their team to win. Mercury League, Mercury League, I chose. Fuck! Ah! Mercury League, I chose Licenseless Rider, which is a hard goddamn name to say. That's the mid laner for BBC. And for Nitrogen League, I chose Diamar from P-Hub, who I mentioned before. So those were the champs they played in their respective series. Licenseless Rider won both of those series, and Diamar lost the top series because that was against Polio, but won the second series, and that was against who? Who was it against? P-Hub beat Baby Shark. It was against Baby Shark. And DMR hard outclassed Kiyoshi in the polio game. Like, that man was better top did not win, okay? Better top did not win. Better jungle always wins. Better mid always wins. Better top did not win that. My man DMR ran over that lane and he looked good doing it. Second series, the Camille game was kind of shaky, but that was more a product of team wide, lack of execution than his individual play. And his Akali was fucking clean. Rest in peace to that champion, by the way. Half of the champions in his pool that he played the first 2 weeks are getting gutted. Thank God. I hate them. Oh, I'm fine with Akali, honestly. But Jax should die. Actually, he's not even getting nerfed. Fuck Riot. Anyway, Mercury League, we had Licenseless Rider, and he looked real nice on BBC. Also, he brought out Karma mid, which I've never seen him peak up before, so I was pretty hyped about that. So I thought those two players did well. I would tell you their stats, but I don't have my notes because they're on my notepad, and I'm not going to exit the slideshow to get to them. So we're going to scuff it back. Cool. Poggers! New segment. Is it meta? Hashtag is it meta? So I'm going to take one pick in P Cup every show. I think I'll have Is It Meta every show. Maybe. It's really fun to do. By the way, shout out to Recycle, my ADC Will. He helped me with a lot of putting together like numbers for this. Will, I do have these written out. I can reference them because I wrote them on a piece of paper so I could understand them better. Like, that sounds dumb, but it's sometimes easier to read stuff on paper than on a screen, and if you disagree, you're lying. Everyone knows that it's easier to look off a piece of paper than a screen for things. That's just how life works. Okay, anyway, so Granny Gamer played this. He's the top laner for Whale Hunters. And so we're going to look at AP Shyvana, which is obviously not a common pick, even though it's getting played a lot more in like solo queue. But I want to look at it in a competitive scenario, right? Like, can this be played anywhere else? Like, does your top laner get tired of Scion, but you kind of want to pick something that looks like a tank, even though it's not going to be a tank? Yeah, well, Shyvana, AP Shyvana, baby. Let's get into it. So, for people who've never played Shyvana, which is a lot of people because that champ is boring as shit, even though she's cool as fuck, her passive sucks, so we don't care. Her Q, Twin Bite, we do care. So, all the skills that are on the right side of the screen, we care about. All the skills on the left side, who gives a fuck? Anyway, Q. Oh, fuck. I don't have the slide that shows the build. Damn it. That's fine. So the Q is Twin Bite. It's an auto reset. Everyone loves auto resets. And when Shyvana auto attacks something that's not a structure, it reduces its cooldown. And the key one is it applies on hit effects twice. Now, the first item that Thug built every game was a Nashor's Tooth. So the Nashor's Tooth has on hit damage question mark? Yeah, it does, right? It's been a while since I built it. I build it on Bard sometimes, but like yikes. Anyway, support main. So yeah, Nashor's Tooth into usually Rabadons, right? Or Morellos. You can take your pick. Pros in solo queue typically go Nashors into Morellos or Rylai's and then a Rabadons. But you do you, Fug, Granny Gamer. So that's Q. W, you go faster and you do a little bit of damage. That's it. Moving on. This E is everything. This E is fucking nuts, okay? So this E, first of all, it's huge. When you're in Dragon form, it's ginormous. The E also flies really fast. I don't know if that's ever talked about, but that is not something that people think about. Skill shot speed. That thing goes pew. Anyway, so what happens is, first of all, Flame Breath has some nice damage on it. We're going to be looking at how much damage it does at max rank later, but 70% AP scaling is nice. So at base damage, oh wait, I already said we looked at it later. Anyway, so 70% AP ratio, so the skill shot, if it hits someone, marks them. And that mark actually is a deceptive amount of damage because when that mark procs, it does 3.75% of a target's max health on hit damage. So that's wild. That caps off against like large monsters, but that's why she's good at that's why she's a jungler, right? Because she can use that to clear more easily. So that 3.75% max health damage is nothing to scoff at. Like that does significant work. Also I had notes because when she's in dragon form, it changes. Oh, it becomes AoE. It becomes AoE. It cleaves in front of her. Or no, that's not the one I'm thinking of. It's Twin Bite. By the way, when she's in dragon form, Q is a cleave, AoE. Her Q is AoE at that point, which is wild because the on-hit effects apply to everyone in the AoE that she hits. Flame Breath, um, if you think about Karma ult, right? Karma ult Q, where she goes, Lathria only, or whatever. Lathria only. I'm really tired, by the way. I cannot focus. But the point is, it has that little empowered circle after the Q hits, and it goes, and then it explodes for a little extra damage. That's what happens with the Flame Breath. And then that burns people for more magic damage, but I don't have the numbers in front of me because I didn't write those ones down. And then finally, she turns into a fucking dragon for her R, baby. Anyway, so we know what her abilities do for AP, but is it troll or not? Like, do you do damage? Is this a no damage Tryndamere or is this a sleeper Victor top pick? Well, it's somewhere in the middle, right? So we've got a graph here where we've calculated how much damage Shyvana does with her abilities at level 18 when she builds certain amounts of ability power. So the scaling is pretty nice, right? Like, oh, that E burn, by the way, is her empowered E, right? Because wait, no. Yes, it is. So blue is the E damage it does when she's in human form, which is significant, right? Like end game, that's doing between 600 and 700 damage. That's a significant fucking, that's nothing to scoff at. Are you kidding? And by the way, I did write this down. At 40% CDR, which she probably will hit, her E is less than 5 seconds, a 4.8 second cooldown. That is significant. And she's manaless. Do you not understand that? If you make it to late game, this pick is insane. Also, oh, I do have it. The range of her E, 925 units, so that thing fucking flies, and it goes at an almost 1600 missile speed. What? That's so fast. Poggers. Poggers, dude. Anyway, so then you have the E in dragon form. Wait, I don't think that's right. Is that right? I think it's scuffed, lads. No, 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 it is. It is. Phew. Okay. Yeah, so that's the E in dragon form. So that's the empowered damage. And then the best part is every like second, it does that gray burn damage if you stay in the area of effect. So you fucking melt people, pun not intended, with that fire. And then the last one is the active on the R because the initial flight, if you hit someone, has an 100% AP scaling off of 350 base damage, if I recall correctly. So the base damage is like whatever, right? It's pretty fucking good actually. I don't know why I'm saying whatever. Uh, but again, end game that active alone, 1,000 damage. It's fucking nuts. And so then what you're thinking eventually is like, wait, she has a skill shot that does upwards of 600 damage on a 4.8-second cooldown. Siobhan is no longer that tanky bruiser that runs my ADC down. She's a poke champ. So I wanted to compare that to other poke champs we see that get picked in Prophecy Cup and sort of compare the damage, right? So what we did, we've calculated how much damage each of these champions would do with their Qs if they built exactly 600 AP. So Zoe tops the list with 1400 max damage on her paddle star, which and at max cooldown reduction, Zoe Q is only 1 second faster than Shyvana E. So that is only 1 second. 1 second is a big time in League, right? But that's essentially 4 seconds to 5 seconds. So the cooldowns are comparable. And then Victor Q, the first tick does 590, and then the next tick does 600. So if they stand in both E's, no, wait, Q's. Oh, no, it's an E. Fuck, it's scuffed. It's his E, guys. His E is the laser on the ground. No. Support me. Fine, it's his E. Max E damage at 600 AP, asterisk, for Victor. Anyway, so if maybe, let's say they're CC'd in his gravity field, right? If the E procs both hits, that's almost 1200 damage. But usually you only get like one E, right? You kind of poke them out. You get a little chip there. I say chip as like Victor damage doesn't hurt late. But let's say it's 600 damage, right? You get 600 damage off from your E. That is less than Shyvana damage. That is less, I repeat, less than Shyvana's E damage. Get fucked, Victor. We all know what the real carry is. And then I have Xerath here as well. He does only 690 damage with his Q, but it's on a 3 second cooldown. Like it's exactly 3, or it's really close. But even then, his whole combo, like if you EWQ and you hit the W in the center, that does 1970 damage, right? 1970 damage is a full Xerath combo. Okay, base, not including Keystone, right? Fuck Keystones. And you're like, holy shit, that's so much. And I agree, because Xerath's awesome. I love Xerath. But 1970 damage is about the same damage as the maximum Shyvana E damage in her ult with burn. Off of one ability. Technically two if you count R. So you have Beta Virgin Xerath. Plug the meme format where you have the Virgin and the Chad. Virgin Xerath has to use 3 abilities that are all hard to hit skill shots to do 1790, but Chad Shyvana just has to hit 1 ability and does the same shit. So yeah, I guess Shyvana's just OP. Also, fun fact, in case you're wondering, LeBlanc's QWE combo does 2,285 damage. We calculated that for fun. 2,285 damage, so only 300 more than a full Shyvana E. Just saying. Now, it may be hard to land a full Shyvana E. I don't care. Pick fucking Leona, then. Alright, the point is, she does a lot of damage. So, did it actually work out, though? Yes. I give it my seal of approval, if you can see on the right. It did. So the first game was against Dawnbreak Gaming. Fug posted a 5-1-2 scoreline, and they won. Meh stats. But on God against BBC, this man popped the fuck off. He averaged 1100 DPM on this character. What? Hello? This is my new flex pick? Hello? It's fucking sick. And both those games, he did number one damage in Dawnbreak out of all 10 members. And the second game against BBC, he did the second most damage, and he was only short from number one damage by 2,000 to the enemy mid laner. 2,000. That's it. That's like 2 E's. That's it. So yeah, hot shit. Though I will say, um, I watched both of these games, and Fug game one was down both games CS differential by 12, which is two waves, which is not good. And then at 10, game one against Dawnbreak. Oh fuck, what was it? What was he down? Game one against Dawnbreak. Game one he was down 12, and then he was down like 12 again, right? But game two against BBC, my man was down like 30 CS at 10, averaged out to negative 22. But yeah, you don't want to be down negative 22 on average. So from what I saw and based off the numbers I'm looking at, Shyvana is the pick for your top laner if you can just skirt through lane phase, right? You do not want to go up against someone with kill pressure. I'd say you could pick it into a tank that can't kill you as long as you just respect that tank's base damage. Scale up to the late game. And that's when this pick works because you're scaling off of your passive, right? She gets extra stats from dragon kills. She hits those AP item spikes that she needs. She wants Rabadons. She wants Magic Pen. She needs to shred people with that quick E cast that does insane damage at max rank. So if you can make it to the late game with this pick, it doesn't feel troll, but it does sacrifice a lot of things you want out of your top laner, which is mainly CC and frontline. And she has neither with this build. She doesn't have CC in either way, essentially. And she compensates for that with her movement speed steroid on her W to catch people. But she also can't frontline at all. So if you're going to pick this for your own team, I would heavily suggest either drafting a poke comp, which is risky as fuck, but it's Chad, or you make sure that your jungle support have some sort of beefy engage or peel so you can make this pick work. Because if you don't have a team comp this is going to work in, it's not going to succeed. And you also have to make sure you don't run it down in lane. So, to summarize, did it work? Yes, I would say it worked. Would I want to see it again? Yes, I would want to see it again. I would want to see this in a game that goes to 40 minutes and her one shot at enemy support Soraka. That would be sick. Anyway, so that was hashtag is it meta. That was Fug's AP top Shyvana. So if you guys liked that and think it should happen again, let me know. And I'll be looking for off meta picks over P Cup the next couple weeks. Because this will be the next talk show will be in 2 weeks. Let's skip ahead. Oh, fuck! Alright, hold on. Oh shit, I forgot. Well, okay. Anyway, so I'll be looking at not AP Shyvana again, but I'll be looking at other stuff that's off meta or interesting, and I'll be analyzing it in a similar way, maybe mixing it up a little bit. Anyway, so match of the week: IRL Sluts versus P Hub in Nitrogen Conference. I may have matches of the week for each conference going forward, but I was 20 minutes late. So we were coming up with this last second. So, wow, why does the IRL one look scuffed? It looks like my dog chewed it or something on the edges. You see what I mean? Oh, P-Ups does too. Oh, that's intentional. Okay, that's a design choice. Cool. I didn't make those. So originally I was gonna have Polio's game potentially because I wanted to see if Polio keep it up, but Mango needs to make me his fucking stuff that he promised me 2 weeks ago. So I chose not to have his game. But really, though, this matchup is really interesting. These are both teams that are strong, strong nitrogen teams. I put them both A tier, just below Polio, which I think is the strongest team right now. IRL is coming off a 2-0 start, and P Hub has only lost in a game 3 scenario to Polio and beat Baby Shark, which are two legitimate teams. And I think these teams are fantastic matchups because they carry in different ways. So my prediction for this week is 2-1 to P Hub, which some people may question because I rated IRL as a stronger team than P Hub, and I still think that's true. I think IRL Sluts Reloaded is a stronger team than P Hub, but I think P Hub matches up too well against IRL to give them the win. And here's why. I think that P Hub's top side of the map is disgustingly good. I already talked about how good DMR is. Gasp is probably a top 3 jungler in the league, other than Chandler and Knight of the Zed. Probably. There's 16 of them though, so I don't remember all of them. But like those three, based off of their previous performances in last seasons, like 2 MVPs and the guy who was as good as an MVP when he played, yeah, those guys are the top 3 junglers in the league. So P-Up's jungler, God. He's really good. I wouldn't say he's God, actually. He's like deity. He's not God. He's just a deity. But DMR, godly top laner. Jungler, pretty godly. Mid laner, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the mid lane matchup. I think that mid lane matchup is even. I think that Colin's done really well off of the role swap, but I think Wurpak is really good at neutralizing an enemy mid laner. Wurpak kind of reminds me of Pobelter in a way, in that when I look at a team Pobelter's on, I think, yeah, Pobelter will do kind of well sometimes, but I don't think Pobelter is a hard carry. But I think Pobelter is very reliable and he's good at matching his opponent, right? Like Wurpak can always, I feel like, play to the skill level of his laner. I do think Wurpak is a better ADC. Wait, these are both ADCs that have gone mid. Wait, this is hype as fuck now. Wait, these are both ADC players that are now mid laners. All right, this is sick. I forgot about that. Bot lane IRL kicks ass over P-Hub. Holy shit. Do they outclass P-Hub bot? God damn. So what it boils down to is this, right? ADC in 2019 LUL, right? I know the changes are coming, but it comes down to, can Secretic survive when DMR gets fed? Because it's either going to be through a CS lead or through kills. Because no disrespect to Pat because he plays Sion, so I love him. But we've seen what DMR does to tank players and top laners that are weaker than him. And I don't think anyone can compare DMR to Pat and say they're equal based off their play. And DMR's already taken out some of the best top laners in the league already. And this man hard carries the series. So top lane is winning for P-Hub. So it's between Ken Secretic leave lane with a large enough lead that will allow him to survive against the onslaught of their solo lanes and Gasp, or can Secretic accrue enough of a lead and Colliner win mid that they carry as well? Because their mid jungle on IRL sluts, I think their jungler is cringe IRL and he's kind of a piece of shit, but he's good. He has good performances. So I think mid jungle is a plus for IRL. But I think that Gasp tips the scales in P-Hub's favor for the mid jungle. Bot lane, IRL sluts. Rest of the map, P-Hub. So I give it 2-1 to P-Hub. Anyway, though I love Colin and Secretic, so I hope IRL wins. Bias. I want IRL to win. So I'm going to be watching this game. See me in Twitch chat, idiots. That's it. So anyway, next episode is 2 weeks from now, because I do them every 2 weeks. So by then it'll be the 5th week, right? So I'm going to be starting to look off the playoff pictures, because there's only 7 weeks. There's only 7 weeks of games. 8th week I'm hoping is our All-Star week. More on that later. I'm trying to figure out what to do for that. I'm going to arrange that. Events planner, by the way. That was my old position. Lol. Also gonna have the top 5 players in every role like last season, because then I'll have more time to watch you fuckers and I actually understand who I should put there. Um, Community suggestion is, if you have an idea for an event, please let me know. Not an event, sorry, a segment. I like doing Is It Meta, and I think I can do it like maybe different or more or better. I haven't done any of this stuff, right? This is all experimental, right? So I'm open to suggestions, but if there's a segment you want to see, let me know. And I'm also going to do another match of the week, and I might do both leagues that time. But that's what you can expect for next episode. If you want to see something that you saw this episode again, let me know. If there's something that you think didn't work well, let me know, other than my production, but it's scuffed. So that's, if it wasn't scuffed, then would you believe it's me? No, you wouldn't. Anyway, I think it's like been an hour now, and I said I'd keep these to an hour, and this is the last slide. So that's going to be it. Thanks for tuning in. I didn't read a single. Oh, one thing. Stop asking when talk show is. Holy fuck. You're going to do it, and it's going to be funny. You're going to meme me. I will block you. I'm not joking. It's so annoying. It's an announcements, you fuckers. The schedule is there. Do not PM me asking when talk show is. Also, I do have a shout out. Did with ADC? Fuck you. I genuinely don't like you. You're passive aggressive and obnoxious. That's off of one thing. This is my flame session. Fuck the ADC from Divots. You have a huge ego for no reason. Your mid lane 1v9s for you, and you think you're hot shit in the game, but you suck. Holy shit! But your Kled top is cool. I'm a fan of your Kled. Also, your support's cool too. I don't know your jungle, so I can't say much. But yeah, holy shit, you're annoying. Anyway, what else should I say here? Uh, yeah. So don't DM me when talk show is because I've said when talk show is now. Just look in announcements. It's in announcements. It's every 2 weeks. It's week 3, week 5, and the final week, week 7. And then I'll do a playoffs one, and then I'll do a finals one. That's the general game plan. And if that changes, I will announce it. Okay? My mental today is kind of low going into this. As you can tell, kind of venting here at this last segment. What else should I say? Um, what else? I'm still the best support in the league. I'll just throw that out there. No one's better than me. That's joined or stayed. What else? Best jungler. I'll throw out some shit right now. Mid lane. Who's the best mid laner? That's tough. Honestly, with fucking Silas, Jared's probably the best mid laner in our thing, Nitrogen, right? Yeah, Jared's definitely the best. And then on the other side, it's either Daveman or Josh. Mid laner, First Blood Knights. Best top laner is DMR so far. ADC. Huh, who's best ADC? Probably, well, honestly, okay, it's going to be Secretic by the end, but Secretic has not played that well past 2 games, so based off pure performance, I have to give it to Mango. But Secretic's the best player in the league, so, like, by the end of the season, I will rank him number 1 ADC, or I expect to. I won't do it, but I expect I will. But, yeah, ADC is, like, kind of team-reliant competitive, it feels like, so sometimes, it feels like he's gated. No flame. Oh, wait, speaking of people I hate, I'm already going to say it again. Fuck the jungle on IRL slots reloaded. What else do I say? Huh. Yeah, I'm out of ideas. So, yeah. What else am I going to say? That's it, I think. Yeah. So, I don't get paid for this. End of slideshow. Now I'm going to read everyone's messages and get angry when people flame me. I am really pissed today. Holy shit, you don't understand. Fuck! IRL sucks! It's scuffed. We can cut this from the VOD, by the way, Jacob, if you have the VOD.